what we have here to begin with is our Boston butt. So this is a pork shoulder, pork butt. You've got your horn side in, that's the bone. So it's got the bone in. You can get boneless. Costco sells them in packs of 2. And boneless is sometimes okay because you can get a lot more seasoning on the surface area. But you can get bone in pork butts at your grocery stores. A lot of times for very cheap, 99 cents a pound. There are probably sales out there right now for the Memorial Day weekend. This part right in here is going to be where all your good shreds of pulled pork are going to come from. And here is your money muscle. Now you can do as much or as little trimming. I'm a big fan of taking off the fat cap. Some people want to leave it on. Some people, will do it fat cap, on top when they smoke it, or they put it on the bottom. I think in the end, the fat that comes here is never really going to render, and the people are going to want to eat it. Maybe some people out there that do. So if that's the case, then create 2 separate pans. A fatty and a lean pan.
Sure. Is there anything you can do, Mike? Sorry to interrupt you. Anything you can do with that fat cap, chickarron?
You want to make some soap?
Is that a hint?
I don't think it'd be enough. You could actually save some of that and put it into if you're going to make some sausage.
Sure.
That up
yeah.
That you would add into your sausage.
That's a great idea. Yeah. We've made some homemade sausage in the past. That would be perfect. They usually call for, I think it's pork back fat, about a half pound of that. So you probably get that from there. So
absolutely, definitely use it for that. But I'm gonna trim that piece off, and what we're smoking with outside is a traditional stick burner barrel smoker. So it's got a side firebox. It's got your barrel chamber. So I'm using sticks of wood to cook with. Some people, depending on the cooker they have, they'll use wood chunks or they'll use pellets. There's electrics out there. I prefer using the stick burner because I think it infuses more smoke, gets real good color on the meat, and I just think it's kind of a fun way to smoke meat, produce something that you share with your family and friends.
Yeah. Kind of keeps you interactive during the process too with the wood. And I know when you head out to the barbecue, we can talk a little bit more about that. But I don't want to raise charcoal and wood chunks kind of guy. So it's but I think around all different methods. It's great. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. And I've heard mixed reviews about the pellets. But you can't go wrong with a Weber kettle or Smoky Mountain, something along those lines.
Yeah.
But with these pieces of meat, there's so much fat already in there, going through the meat, the marbling, as they say. You really don't need to have this fat cap. So I'm going to go ahead and start by trimming this off. And what I usually like to do is just grab a tab like that, pull it up, and then make my cut on the way down. And
like a surgeon.
That's right. And very key to this process and success of this is to have cold meat, sharp knife. Anything other than that, and you're just kind of asking for an accident. So make sure you've sharpened your knives prior to the trimming, and have this directly out of the refrigerator and ready to go.
Yeah, isn't that the running thing? The most dangerous thing in a kitchen is a dull knife, because it's the sharp one gets you right through the stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so from my experience with competitions, a lot of your competition smokers will take that fat cap off to the very end, and it'll just slide off. But I am of the opinion that I like to just cut it off beforehand. That way I'm not worried about it in the end. And like I said, you don't necessarily need this. It's never going to rent down. It's not going to add too much flavor to you or to the meat, excuse me. So I always like to take it off in the beginning.
So big question. Have you entered competitions? I know I've had customers that with folks we worked with there, they've done competitions. Have you entered?
Yeah,
Play in that space?
I've done some competitions. One that recently comes to mind in the same vein of cold meat, sharp knife. I went there. I went to my first competition with a friend of mine who's just done it several times.
Yeah.
And as soon as the U.S. Foods truck came by, dropped off our cases of pork butts. It's like 16 total for to cook. It's probably less than 5 minutes into trimming, he accidentally cut himself. And then it was left for me to trim the rest of the
While you're at yours, you mind doing mine too?
Yeah, with his
I'll meet you over here by the beer cooler. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to the game. Here we go.
That's
Spotlight
perfect.
on you now. Yeah, so it was quite the experience. I remember not sleeping very much, but I do remember getting some very good tips from a lot of the people there that were, professionals. They were on the circuit, that sort of thing.
Sure.
Yeah, it was a great time for sure. But I really enjoy producing these cuts of meat, these cooks for family and friends, or even for charities that donating them to people in need, that sort of thing. So that's what I really enjoy doing about this this cooking and this smoking.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, it makes such a gigantic quantity that, if you can, like you said, get it across to a charity or something like that. And,
Very
really
much a
because-
shareable item. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you have me over, I'll finish it off. And sorry for the charity.
Yeah, no worries. It's all good. So flipping it over to this side, if there's anything loose, kind of like this little piece right here, I would take that off too, because it's just going to burn up. It's not going to do you any good. I already initially trimmed a lot of fat out of this crevice. And you usually have to kind of slice into there. And you get rid of like this shiny, like skin looking tissue. They call it sinew. And that's really never going to taste very good. It's going to be kind of chewy. So some of that stuff you would want to take out as well, as much as you can. I mean, honestly, you could sit here and probably trim all day long. But for the most part, this is looking really good. I like where it is. Maybe this little piece right here is not going to do me any good, so I'll take that off.
Yeah.
And believe me, you're going to have plenty of meat, so don't be upset if you lose some pieces like that. You're going to have plenty of meat to serve people. Usually a 10-pound butt would probably get you 20 to 30 people serving.
Wow.
You've got a lot of meat there that you can share.
Is that kind of standard size, 10 pounds, or do you get them in like kind of
I would
fads?
say they're probably in somewhere in the middle. I think a lot of times you'll find a pork butt anywhere from 7 to 12 pounds. 12 pounds probably at the biggest.
Yeah.
So this right here is close to a 9-pound. I think it's like 8.9.
Right.
And the one that I've already got out there on the smoker is 7.5. So they're good sized pieces of meat. Like I said, they cook really well. You're gonna have nothing but juicy, wonderful meat to share with your family. And so
go ahead.
We'll go down here. This line of fat right there will come down through here, and that will separate what's called our money muscle. Now, a lot of the competitions, they'll separate that piece out, and it's actually a small portion of the loin in the pig. And what they'll do is once they have that cooked the way they want, they'll portion that off the butt and put it into slices, just like pork loin pieces, medallions, basically.
Right.
Put that in their box so that they can really wow the judges. So it's very, it's, I don't know, the delectable or the highly sought after piece that you can show off in your competition box.
Does that hold sort of a different, once it's after the smoke, hold a slightly different, I always think of pork butt like is all shredded, and does the money muscle kind of hold a shape different, like almost like a loin still once it's been smoked, and that's how the professionals slice it up and kind of present it almost like a loin? Or
That's,
does it shred as well?
yeah, no, you can just go ahead and shred it if you want.
Mhm.
You'll obviously cook it to a higher, it's the same temperature you would the rest of the pork butt, like close to 200 degrees.
Yeah,
But it will slice up just like a loin would. So it would be very tasty and very good to share. Very, very, very nice and moist. It's a really good cut, really good piece of meat. And you can
awesome.
usually want to get anywhere from, I don't know, 4 to 6 slices out of that. It's kind of small, so we could probably only get about 4 slices, maybe
Mhm.
5 if you squeeze it out, because you want them to be in a uniform shape for your judges.
Right.
Yeah, that's the money muscle.
The
And
money
now,
muscle.
any other time that, or most times, you want to do your best to infuse as much flavor um, and seasoning into your pork butt. So what we're going to do at this point is we're going to inject it. Now you can buy your own powdered injectors or injections, mix them up with water. But I think a real basic and easy injection is apple juice.
Yeah.
Just go to your grocery store and pick out the name, the grocery store's name brand apple juice, and inject that into the pork butt in kind of like a grid pattern.
Right.
And that just adds extra flavor and juice to your meat, tenderness. So it's going to come out just absolutely amazing.
So this is a special injector. You get the barbecue shop, or I hadn't seen one of those actually. Show my I am a true novice at this. This looks, folks, you can try this at home. Look at that.
This isn't what they used. Comes that.
Wow.
But yes, this actually I found on Amazon for like $30. It's a very inexpensive injector, and comes with a lot of different attachments as well. So it's well worth the money. Definitely have your apron on, because there could be,
Yeah, I was gonna put one on.
a few squirts that come out, but that's okay. What we'll use once we have this injected, we'll have some of that juice on the meat and use that as kind of like a binder for our seasoning. You start to find that bone, you can always go into the side of the meat if you want.
You don't think you're gonna get Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg doing this on live channel there?
That's unfortunate, because I'm sure that would be a great show.
They have the show, so yeah. Odd couple. Instead, you're stuck with Mike and John the novice. But now this is fantastic. And that's just apple juice you're putting in, or did you put some spice in there as well?
No, just straight apple juice. You can do a mixture if you wanted to of apple cider vinegar and water. You could you could add Worcestershire. You can do just about anything, but you really want to make sure that you're using something that kind of pairs well a little bit with pork anyways. And like I said, you can buy a lot of these different injections, powder injections online, and just mix them up with water and put them in there.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, so this helps alleviate any sort of dryness, that's for sure, that you could potentially get if you were to overcook. But it also eliminates the possibility or want of others to add sauce to your meat, to your barbecue.
That's right.
I think you and I agree. We don't necessarily need the sauce. The meat should basically stand on its own.
Yeah, I don't want to start the online debate, but yeah, I think you look at the effort and the craft that you put into the meat, and for me to put sauce on it, I want to just have that. So quick one for you, Mike, and I don't want to delay you. Again, coming from a layman, in terms of doing any sort of dry brining the night before, putting it in spices, 24 hours or whatever, 8 hours. Where do you sit on that?
I honestly, if I'm making a barbecued smoked, pork butt, I'm not gonna brine it. I'm not gonna marinate overnight.
Okay,
A lot of times I take it from the fridge, I trim it, inject it, season, throw it on the smoker.
good to go.
Sometimes if I want to infuse some different flavors, like, you know, if I'm making pork carnitas, then I
Yeah,
might put a good marinade to do overnight for those, just to infuse that additional flavoring or seasoning into the meat
okay,
for a special dish like that. Yeah.
good stuff. Yeah. All right.
All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and season the meat here. And we have three different, well, two different barbecue ones and then one just a little added seasoning here. This is Killer Hog's Hot Barbecue Rub. I'm a big fan of this one. Then you have the Ozark Heat Championship Barbecue Seasoning, very good flavor. And then the Killer Hog's AP Seasoning. This is just basically a salt, pepper, garlic base that you can put on the meat.
Okay.
You could really, these could just stand alone by themselves, but sometimes if you want to add a little extra, you can put a light seasoning of this on top.
Good job.
And that's exactly what I'm going to do today. I'm going to go ahead and put just a light sprinkle of this salt, pepper, garlic on here.
Good stuff.
And you want to get, you know, on your sides.
So, Mike, the producers are telling me I'm asking too many questions. So but I guess we're just got to watch our time. Be mindful of everybody's time. And yeah, I take over and start to say, what about me? What about my questions? So, because we just want to make sure we leave time at the end. So apologies for that. If
I know pretty
Pick up
easily,
the pace.
John, you and I could talk all day about that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's good
It's-
stuff.
It's their fault for requesting us to do this.
They picked the wrong guys, right? Yeah,
They did. They did. They should have known better.
yeah.
All right, let's
So-
flip her over.
They said I didn't stick the
Light
audience with
here.
23 slides. There we go.
Okay, switch over to our barbecue.
Ready for action.
Now these meats can definitely take a lot of seasoning, so don't be shy.
Yeah. And you'll probably talk about it in terms of total cook time from when it goes on. Is it 6-8 hours or?
Absolutely, and depending on if you're gonna wrap or just, you know, give it straight, you know, smoke and heat the entire time. I always
Sure.
like to wrap it because it'll expedite the cooking process, go a little faster. I'll keep the juices from the meat within the foil pack that I use.
Mhm.
And you know, you can get an 8 to 10 pound butt done in anywhere from 7 to 9 hours. So it can go a little bit faster than if it was, you know, just giving it smoke the entire time.
Perfect. Perfect.
All right, that is looking.
That looks fantastic.
That's the spot.
Get that thing wrapped and on the.
Yeah, I definitely like to use full pack wraps. And so what we can do right now is take this out to the smoker
Head them out.
there, and we'll check on the other one, maybe give it a little bit of a spritz as well. So let's go ahead and head that way. I'm actually going to grab another pair of these gloves, so I'm keeping sanitary as much as possible.
Yeah, I always forget as I start doing things that, oops, I wish I had gloves, and I see you working with those.
Yeah, I would say try to run your kitchen like you would any type of restaurant. You really want that grade A from the health department.
For sure. Whoops, I dropped it. No one saw. Yeah, it's chicken, pork. You know, it's interesting. I was watching as you're bringing that out. I was watching an old. I don't know if you remember Justin Wilson, the old New Orleans chef and raconteur, and he's doing a chicken thing, and he's touching the device, touching the handles, and touching the chicken. Is like, that's obviously the '70s for you. So
Yeah, that makes you a little leery and
exactly,
sketchy, I guess. There, right?
exactly right.
So I don't know about you, John. What type of smoker do you have again?
So I did the Weber Smoky Mountain 22-inch, because as you and I talked, it for me it's like the old Ron Popeil, set it and forget it. It holds temperature really well, and since I have very little skill in this, like you have, I can literally set my fire and put the lid on, and it'll just bang on 225 from now until the end of time. So that's why I picked that one, and that's what you talk about having to add wood during the smoke. That's always what I found as a challenge. Look at that.
That is gorgeous.
Ladies and gentlemen.
That is close to 4 hours in.
Okay.
I'll spritz it and spritz my aluminum foil and then wrap it back up and throw it back on. Let's go ahead and do that while my hands are clean.
Perfect. And I'll send you my FedEx number. I'd like you to get that delivery by 10 a.m. tomorrow. It will be perfect.
Absolutely, yeah. It'll still be hot.
It'll still be hot. Exactly. Throw a case of beer in there as well.
So I like to use heavy duty aluminum foil. Wrap with it. Try to wrap it up as tight as possible so you can preserve the bark that you've already created on that meat, that crust.
Yeah.
Keep the bees away. They're hungry.
And the you may again talk about it in a sec, but the famed smoke ring. Do people in the judging and the competitions, do they get pretty hung up about that? What the smoke ring looks like, that dark ridge, and then
that's how it's definitely gotten a good amount of smoke, and that they're going to be happy with the flavor. If you don't see the smoke ring, then clearly the smoker has done something wrong.
Right. Hey, quick, since I'm hogging all the questions, quick question from the audience. What is in the spray bottle? Is that like the apple juice and
that's apple juice? Yep.
Okay.
Just your basic everyday apple juice.
Good question. Yeah.
It does perfectly. You don't need much more than that on there. So I'm putting that with the horn side closer to the heat. The way that this smoker is set up, it's what they call a reverse flow. So I've got the smokestack over here versus here. Heat and smoke will come through the bottom of the barrel because it's got deflector plates there, and then it'll come back around, hit the meat, and then go out.
Got it.
It's a very cool smoker. I really like it. It's a little bit on the pricey side, but it's well worth it. And I think you can't go wrong.
That's fantastic.
This is our hickory wood that we're using. We're using that for flavor. We're using cherry wood for color.
Okay.
And sometimes with beef, I would use oak, and this is red oak. Very good wood, but you want to use a hardwood so you can get that heat, you can get that smoke flavor, and your fruits and your nuts like pecan trees, hickory trees, they're going to be perfect for smoking your meat.
That's perfect. And it's okay to mix, like you said, you can have two in the same smoke.
Yeah,
like hickory and.
I alternate back and forth on what I want to use. So I'll go with, some cherry first with one stick, and I usually get anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes on one stick here, and then go with the hickory after that. So I just alternate back and forth, just infusing as much of that flavor as I can.
Sure. Perfect.
And unfortunately, John, we don't have 7.5, 8 hours here.
We don't. Everybody, the producers are saying, keep going, keep going. I'm just like, I'm just getting warmed up here. So I'm learning. So maybe I'm the wrong guy to host this thing.
So I think what we should do now is probably take a look at a video of a smoke I did this weekend. And you can see the finished product, kind of the meat nirvana, if you will. So we can go ahead and show that video clip.
Perfect.
All right, here we are. It's been a little over an hour. Honestly, you could wait 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 4 hours, as long as you keep it in the cooler and it's staying nice and warm in there. You can take your time on when you want to get to it and pull it apart.
But that's exactly what we're gonna get into right now. So let's unwrap this bad boy. Take a quick look. Still steaming hot. You can see the steam coming out of there. It is just as gorgeous as it was when we pulled it off. And here's that bone I mentioned. That pretty much slips right out. Clean as a whistle. And now, so that was the horn parts. That's where you're gonna get your chunks of meat, okay? So you can just make big chunks right there that a lot of people like, you know, to put on their just a barbecue plate instead of on a sandwich. Drop that into the pan, nice clean pan that you can store it in, keep it covered, keep it nice and warm. So when you're ready to serve it, everybody's gonna be happy. So there's still some of that weird looking stuff that I didn't cut out, right? So at the end, you can peel a lot of that junk out of there and put it off to the side. That's that sinew or the additional fat that not a lot of people like to eat. So I recommend taking your time, looking it over before you pull it apart. Go ahead and chunk that bit up. And then this is going to be your area where you get nothing but the shredded stuff. Just go ahead and pull that to small pieces. You might even find some French fries in here, pork fries. You can drop it into that juice, add a little more flavor, then throw it into your pan. That is looking so amazing. This is a labor of love, that's for sure. It's one of the greatest things is to be able to provide a nice, beautiful piece of meat for a large group of people and make everyone happy. There's some of those fries. And then at that end was that money muscle part. I can actually roll that right off if I wanted to. And that's what you would slice up and put into your box if you were actually doing a competition. But this is actually going to be fantastic, just shredded. So that's what we're going to do. Pull that bad boy apart. After you've got this, you know, pulled apart the way you want, you can add some more of this juice. Like I said, cover it up with some aluminum foil, keep it nice and warm. Go have yourself a nice tasty beverage because you worked hard, you played hard, and it's time to play even harder now.
Wow, I look really good
Wow.
on video. Why didn't you guys tell me that?
Yeah,
So-
that's like a
so-
mic drop. No pun intended. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So I think we did a fantastic job there, John. I think we can't go wrong with those tips and practices. You're going to have a great barbecue, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's just amazing.